all the echoes of the walls. No one hears me when I call. In the emptiness and all the times I fall.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Nerds Order music interview. Today, we have a very special guest named Sharone. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good, doing good.
Good.
So, tell me a little bit about yourself.
I'm from Denver, Colorado. I make spooky hard rock music, and I guess I don't know what else to say.
No worries.
I make music. I'm very socially awkward, apparently.
You and me both.
Yes.
All right. So, where did your journey into music begin?
I started taking classical piano lessons when I was, I think, 6 or 7 years old. I did that for about 4 or 5 years, and then I kind of ventured off doing my own music. I started off writing like rock ballads on piano. I picked up a guitar when I was about 12 and taught myself how to play. And I just kind of went from there. I started writing tunes. I formed a band when I was about 17 and did that for a while. Then I kind of ventured off back into my solo stuff a couple years ago, and been doing music my whole life pretty much. So
Nice. That's
yeah.
great. What are some of your inspirations?
Musically, a big one is Evanescence. I discovered them when I was about 11, and they were kind of the band that gave me the push to really want to become a rock musician. And I kind of followed, I guess, artists that I listened to when I was growing up and kind of meshed their style and their artistry with the musical inspiration from Evanescence, artists like Pink and people like that. So kind of mixed pop with rock, and kind of been doing that.
That's great. I love Evanescence. I grew up with them when I was like 12 or 13. It's just been like a big journey for me with that.
Yeah, they're wonderful.
They
And
really
they're
are.
putting out a new album right now, which is super
Yeah, I read about that. I'm like, oh, the Return of the Kings
yeah, they've
and
released a few
Queen.
singles from it, and they're all really good.
They are. It's amazing. Like I got into them when I think it was Bring Me Back to Life or something like that. When I first dropped, I think that's when I got
Bring
started.
It Alive, yeah.
Yeah. I just listened to that yesterday, actually.
It's okay, to be honest. I mean, when people think of Evanescence, they think of Bring Me to Life and My Immortal. And don't get me wrong, they're not bad songs, but they've been so overplayed that everyone just kind of knows Evanescence as those two songs, but they have so
Yeah.
much more better material. I wish people knew about it more.
I actually started listening to all their stuff as of recent. I binged those entire albums, so I do get that. It's like
Yeah.
there's so much more they have to offer, like with that, and people don't get it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So, how would you describe the song making process?
It depends. Every song is different. Sometimes I have an idea for a song in my head and I kind of build. I'll sit in front of, I'll grab a guitar or I'll sit in front of a piano and just kind of build off of the idea I already have. Or I'll just be messing around on either instrument and a song will come from it. It really just depends. And then, you know, I'll go in and I'll build the drums and all the other instrumentation, the bass and all that for it. But every song is different. The inspiration and the songwriting process for every song is different. Sometimes I have a little hook, a little piece of lyrics, or a little line with a melody that pops into my head that won't go away. So I'll build off of that, or I'll have a little melody that pops in and I'll go play it and then build a whole song around it. It really just depends. Each song's different.
Nice. Speaking of songs, what was the process behind Screaming into Oblivion? I love that one.
Thank you. I wrote the instrumental for that one first. I wanted to do a song that was a little bit different structurally. So I had kind of a soft verse and a hard verse, and then repeated that, and then had, you know, the big chorus, the bridge, and then the chorus. I wanted to do something a little different than the standard pop structure that a lot of my songs have. So I built that instrumental first. And then I already had the idea for the main lyric, which was "I've been screaming into oblivion." And I had that in my head for months before I actually sat down and wrote the rest of the lyrics for the song. And I really wanted the song to focus on depression and mental illness because that's something that I've dealt with a lot in my life. And it's something that I try to touch on in my music whenever I can because I want to be that kind of sounding board for people who deal with those things because so many of us do, but we don't like to talk about it very much, which I think is awful. So many people struggle with this and we lose so many loved ones and friends over depression that I think it's something that we do need to talk about more. So I do try to highlight that in my music as often as I can. So when I sat down to write the lyrics, I kind of focused on this feeling of being very alone and in my sorrow and in my depression and not having anyone to go to talk about it. So I wanted to kind of make that song a sounding board for those of us who struggle with mental illness.
I related to that song a lot. And now hearing this, I teared up a little bit, so I had to do this.
Oh.
Because I suffer with that a lot too. That's actually music has been my escape for that for a long time.
And that's the case for so many of us, which is why we need more songs like that that really help us feel those feelings and give us a way to kind of verbalize them when we don't know really what to say, you know?
Yeah, that's why I love music in the rock and metal genres because there's so much emotion that gets poured into it.
Yeah, I agree.
Like no matter who you listen to, there's always a lot to go with that. Like Currents, Reality Suite, Sharone.
Mhm. I love Reality Suite. They're actually really good friends of mine.
I worked with them yesterday. It was a blast.
Yeah, they're great. They
They
make really
are.
wonderful music too.
They do. When
I've
I
been,
first heard Triggers, I was in tears.
yeah,
Like
that's a really good song.
when it comes to music like this, a lot of songs make me cry, and that is rare because a lot of genres can't really do that. Because like the heart and soul you feel with this genre, it hits really hard with a lot of people. Like honestly, when I first heard of actually when I first heard the song "Screaming to Oblivion," I was like, Dakota, thank you,
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear
because
that. That makes
because
me really happy.
he was like, here's a song, reach out to them. I'm like, okay, I'll see what I can do. I played a song and my mind just went blank for like the whole duration. I was
Oh,
so wrapped up into it.
well, I'm glad to hear that.
That's how I'm with music. I study the lyrics of everything I listen to so I can get the point of it and learn from it. Hey,
Yeah,
music's one hell of a teacher.
I agree.
All right, my next question would be I got so many. Jeez, it's hard to make like just one order of questions. Like my mind goes all over the place. I think ADHD. All right. Who would you love to collaborate with in studio and on stage? Go
Um,
nuts. All the options go nuts.
I think this might be a little bit of an obvious answer. Um, Amy Lee's definitely a big one. I, at some point in my life, would love to collaborate with her, um, both in studio and on stage. Another one, though, is Meg Myers. I'm not sure if you know who she is. She's
She
kind of
sounds very familiar.
she's on the up and up right now, definitely. She's put out so two full-length albums now and about 3 or 4 EPs. She's a really, really awesome artist. I've seen her live. I've been following her music for a few years now, and I love how she mixes rock and pop with a little like dark undertone. She's got this one song. The first song I ever heard by her was Heart Heart Head, and the reason it caught my eye so much in my ear was it's the whole song is very calm and mellow. As far as I remember, at least, there's no percussion in it even. It's just synths and I think keys and just the vocals as far as I remember. And obviously some other production stuff. But it's calm the whole way through up until the very end. And on the very last chorus is when everything kicks in and she does this scream that almost feels like it wasn't planned. It feels just like it came out of her soul and out of her core in the studio when she was tracking this song. And it's so raw and emotional. And ever since then, I've been obsessed with her. So I would love to collaborate with Meg Myers at some point too.
Nice. That reminds me of a certain song. Like I could literally, oh, I cannot speak today. I'm so sorry. I could hear like the emotion in the scream. It was in the song, I think, "Close" by Scarlet Riot
Mhm.
on the Regenerate album. Like as soon as she screamed no, like I could feel the emotion in it. I'm like, yeah, this hits so fucking.
Yeah.
Because like there's a scream and then there's like the emotional screams you can feel, and I
Mm.
love that in this genre. Because like
Yeah,
you can tell the difference.
absolutely.
And it's amazing. And speaking of the live music that you mentioned earlier, I miss those days so much.
Oh, me too.
Honestly, I was that one kid who went to Warped Tour for like a while. My biggest regret was finding out about it late. I found out late
Yeah.
2016. I only got to go to 3. I'm over here like I wish I could go to more. Yeah, they're bringing it back after COVID apparently. That's gonna be nice.
We'll see. Yeah, I'm hoping so.
Cool. I mean, the guy retired originally. He wasn't gonna do it ever again back in 2019. He was going for 25 years, but he's now dropping hints that they're gonna bring it back. I'm like, because those festivals, well, any concert really with this kind of genre, you can feel the music, and that's what's amazing about it.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Hmm? And like, for example, seeing bands like I'm trying to think of I'm trying to think on top of my head here. There's so many groups I've seen live at that damn festival. You could just feel the emotion with almost every song, which is great.
Yeah.
Honestly, I miss those days so much.
Oh, we all do.
When festivals when all concerts open back up again, I know what I'm doing.
Oh, yeah.
I've been trying to give Dakota a few ideas as of recent, like a little
Another
music
DI,
festival, all the DI
little DI
bands.
fest. Yeah, I love that.
Hmm?
I love that. Yeah, all the DI bands throw a little fest.
You know, I was thinking about that because, like, okay, my mind, due to my ADHD, I'm always thinking about random shit, and that just popped into my head like a few days ago. I'm like, what if? Like, it just popped into my brain, and I'm over here like, Dakota, I got an idea for you. I mean, I think it'd be great to be honest. Like all the DI bands just do like their little festival.
Yeah,
That'd be
I like
really
that
cool.
idea.
Like
It would.
Sunsinger, Evanor, Sharone, and a bunch of others. Like I think it'd be awesome. It'd be a good
Yeah,
festival, honestly.
that'd be fun.
I could picture it now.
Yeah.
I'd probably lose my mind in that shit. I mean, it's like I never expected to even get into this. Like this was just like a small little hobby I put together to give back to music, and because like I said earlier, without it, I would be dead. I wanted
Yeah.
to give back to the small bands and help spread their music, and then I worked with Sepsis, who then told me to reach out to, well, just put up what I do on their Facebook pages. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it. Maybe get 1 or 2 bands. Not hard. Well, worth a try. And then all of a sudden, that's how I found Dakota and 10 other bands who are not scheduled. You know, in 1 hour, I got 10 bands in Dakota. I'm like, well, fuck. Yeah, I think my next question, I'm sorry, I ramble on way too much. My
You're
next
okay.
question is going to be, what is the best piece of advice you were ever given when entering music?
The best advice I was given
Hmm.
when entering music. Um, I don't know if there's a significant piece of advice that I ever got. I started playing shows when I was about 15 or 16, and ever since then I've just kind of been trial and erroring this whole thing. I never had anybody give me like real directional advice. I've just kind of been going through the motions and seeing what works, seeing what doesn't, and I've really been completely DIY up until, I got in touch with Dakota and signed with DI Records. Yeah, I've always just kind of played it by ear and tried different things and got rid of what didn't work and kept up with what did. And it's gotten me this far. So hopefully I'm doing something right.
I think you are. If everything I've heard, I know you definitely are. Speaking of DI, when did you sign on with them? Like, when did you first meet Dakota?
I got in touch with Dakota, I want to say about 2 years ago. He initially reached out to me when I announced a show in Pittsburgh that I was playing with another band on the label. And he reached out to me, I think at that point. He wanted to make it to the show and was unable to. But he offered me a place on the record label. And at the time, I didn't really think much of it. I'd gotten a lot of, I didn't really know him, you know, so, and I'd gotten a lot of spams like that, like, hey, do this and pay us money and we'll do this for you. You know, I was getting a lot of those. So I kind of just brushed it off and let it go. And then he reached out to me a few more times after that. And I found a few of the other bands on the record, like Evanor and bands like that, that I really loved. And then I saw the name again under all those bands. And he put a little call looking for bands. So I reached out to him again and we got in touch. And, you know, he told me that my position in the label was still available if I wanted it. So we kind of started working together at that point. So
Nice. And by Evanor, I love Evanor. They're such a
yeah,
great group as well.
they make really good music.
Dude.
Reality Suite too. I love those guys.
I worked with both of them recently. Evanor was actually probably the first band from DI I was able to work with, and my heart melted when I was speaking with them. Like
Yeah.
when we're talking about Welcome Back to the Darkness, that song actually got me and a few of my friends out of some mental shit.
Okay.
And I was just like, my heart melted when I was talking to them about it, honestly. I almost cried on camera.
Oh.
I mean, my heart and soul's into this stuff, so it's like, that's to be expected sometimes, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, awesome groups, honestly, like all of them.
Yeah, there's some really great bands on this label. I feel very lucky to be amongst them.
Oh, definitely. And everything I've seen so far, it's like he chooses really good bands, honestly, from what I've
Yeah.
seen.
He does.
Love it. I just can't believe he reached out to someone like me. I was never expecting that in my life. When I
You're doing a
first,
wonderful job. I see why. You're doing great.
thank you.
You're welcome.
I think my next question would be about, well, you mentioned earlier about doing live shows. Tell me what that's like.
Live shows?
Yeah.
These days it's a little weird. It doesn't really exist. When it comes to in the past with shows, you know, I have a my best friend is my bass player and he's been playing with me for years. Whenever we'd have a live show, you know, we'd find one or two guitar players and a drummer and we'd play live and, you know, we have backing tracks and everything and have a few practices before the show. And it was always really fun. These days it's a little weird. I haven't played a show in 7 or 8 months now. And yeah, we have this show coming up at the end of the month down in Denver. And I think honestly that's going to be the last show for a while because, you know, it's just the two of us and it's hard to keep finding people to play live with us. And with COVID, it doesn't really seem feasible to keep pushing that.
Yeah.
So as heartbreaking as it is, we're kind of putting a little pause on the live side of this project for a while. So
I get that. With the pandemic, it must be hard to make music and perform it, let alone.
yeah, I mean, the making music hasn't been too bad. I have a lot of friends who have really helped me out with making Morbid Illusion, and that part hasn't really been the difficult side. It's just, you know, I was supposed to tour 3 times last year, and all 3 times ended up canceling because of COVID. It's just not possible. So
Yeah. That sucks too. Damn.
yeah.
I have friends who live up there who would have loved to have seen you live. I have like 3 friends up in Colorado. So it's like, yeah.
Well, I do have a show in Inglewood, Colorado, in a few weeks, March 26th.
I will let them know.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. My next question is, what's next? Like, what is the future for Sharone?
I am not announcing it yet, but I've spoken with Dakota and he is on board for a pretty major change that I'm going to be making with this project after Morbid Illusion comes out. It's going to be a complete 180 from everything I've done in the last few years. But I think given the circumstances that my project is at and kind of where I'm at personally and just with the world and everything, it's definitely the right decision for me and for the project. And I'm very excited about the stuff that I'm going to be releasing after this album. As much as I love the songs that I put on Morbid Illusion, I'm very excited about the stuff that I'm going to be releasing afterwards. So
They got me excited. I cannot wait. I look forward to it, honestly. Like now, after knowing this, I am going to make sure to keep up to date on everything now.
Well, I hope you stick around.
Oh, I will. I love good music.
I appreciate that. I like making music, so I'm glad somebody enjoys it.
Well, I know it's not just me. I know a lot of people enjoy it. Music is life-saving, especially stuff that has a lot of heartfelt emotion into it. That's what I live for.
Yes, absolutely.
That music is the reason why I can still breathe today. So I'm always sticking around for this.
Yes, I completely feel that. I mean, I keep saying I'm 100% with you. I wouldn't be alive today if it wasn't for music. So it's gotten me through a lot of really bad times in my life. So
Music is like that one friend that just never gives up on you no matter how bad shit gets. That's what I
yeah.
love about it. It's not
Oh, yeah.
judgmental. It's not biased. It's just there to help.
Absolutely. It's a soul healer.
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Music is a soul healer.
Without a doubt. I can already imagine like all the lives. It's saved millions and millions of lives, without
Oh
a
yeah,
doubt.
easy.
hmm And like I love the feeling of having something you make be able to save someone's life. Like it probably feels phenomenal.
Yeah, I had one or two people tell me that in my lifetime, and it made me cry both times. There's nothing that equates to that feeling of art that you create to help yourself. Helping somebody else on that level is just, it's an undescribable feeling. It
I
really
could
is.
imagine. Hey, the best things are the ones you can't describe.
Yes,
That's probably the best way to put that, honestly.
I agree.
All right, I think I'm actually out of questions. Oh,
Okay,
damn.
that's all right.
Well, thank you again for your time. This has been another Nerds Order music interview featuring Sharone. Thank you so much and have a wonderful night.
Thanks for having me. Have a great night.
You as well.
And you'll never see it.